Hello guys, this is the model RR3102 here, back again in the layout. So I haven't made a video or probably several months now, at least 6 or 8 months. I've been very busy as of late with work, hobbies outside of my life, including sports photography, been out rail fanning a lot as of late, and a whole lot more, even during this coronavirus pandemic. And for those of you who have been impacted by the coronavirus, thoughts and prayers are out to you and your family. And hopefully we can get back to normal real soon. So anyways, gonna do a locomotive roster update. Gonna do at most 3 parts, with the first part being Canadian Pacific, CSX, and Norfolk Southern power, with the second part then being BNSF, Union Pacific, and any short line or leasers I have. And then third and final part is just Canadian National Power. And with me having almost 80 locomotives and almost half of them being Canadian National, I've just decided I'm going to do probably 3 parts depending on how quick or how long I take to talk on these 3 parts. So anyways, let's get started with Canadian Pacific up front. And I only have 2 CP units, so this is going to go real quick. The first one on your left is an Athearn Genesis ES44AC, number 8704. That unit is DCC ready and has LEDs from the factory. Believe this is the first non-Genesis 2.0 unit or run to get LEDs from the factory, with the others being, of course, the SD60E and the SDP40F back in 2017. And this ES44AC was announced in 2017, came out at the end of 2018. Would like to eventually get Loc Sound put in, and the whole 9 yards work with custom weathering and any other upgrades to that unit. The unit on your right is a Scale Trains SD40-2 DMIR or Dakota, Minnesota and Eastern, number 6359. That is the Mount Rushmore unit, as it was when it was repainted back in '91, when it was acquired from the Sioux, but I think it was owned by someone after the Sioux. I think it was like Helm Leasing or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. All I know is that I would like to get this unit customized eventually down the road, to what it looked like back in 2015, because this unit looked ready when I saw it back in 2015 on the CP. So it would have ditch lights, Nathan P5 horn, obviously custom weathering, etc. And that unit does have Loc Sound 5 from the factory. And most of these sound equipped units do have Loc Sound in them. And I'll just tell you if they do or don't and what kind of decoder they have. On to the CSX power. The first unit is a Tier 4 GEVO from Scale Trains ET44AH, number 3250. That unit I actually just acquired from Arthur Bradley at Bradley DCC not too long ago. And this pretty much has the works. Custom weathering, LED upgrades, the Loc Sound V4.0 decoder from the factory, and then custom sounds. And let me tell you, this is a excellent looking locomotive, both internally and externally. And then my last 2 CSX units are also Scale Trains locomotives. They are the rebuilt SD40-3s, the SpongeBob Square Cab units. They are both from the most recent run back in last year, 2019, with the boxcar logo. And both have Loc Sound 5 decoders from the factory. So that is all for CSX power. And just as a side note, any unit that is not currently weathered, I would eventually like to get that sent in for weathering and any other upgrades. So first off, now we're starting back with Norfolk Southern units, starting with the 2 Scale Trains -9s I own for Norfolk Southern. To your left is number 9555, and to your right is number 9692. Both units are equipped with Locosound 5 decoders from the factory, though 9692 has been customized by Bradley DCC with weathering, headlight upgrades, and sound upgrades. So it has a new K5 LA horn and a E-bell. So those are my two -9s. Moving on down the line is my Intermountain Tier 4 ET44AC number 3625. That also has Locosound from the factory, though it has a Locosound Select decoder from the factory. This was released in 2017. This actually is one of my heaviest units on my layout at a little over 25 ounces, or 1 pound and 9 ounces, or if you are outside of the United States, that would be a little over 700 grams. Next unit is a Athearn Genesis SD75M number 2805, former Santa Fe and BNSF unit. This unit has Tsunami sound from the factory, though I would like to get that replaced with Locosound in the future. Does have a Soundtrax current keeper installed aftermarket, and it does have LEDs in place of the original incandescent bulbs. Next on the line, Athearn Genesis SD70 ACE number 1111, aka the barcode unit. Started off as a DCC ready unit, and then I sent it in for upgrades, including weathering, LEDs, and Locosound Select and Keep Alive. She is a beauty. And then my last two NS Road units that are non-special units are the SD60Es from Athearn Genesis. Both units started off as DCC ready units. Only 6952 has sound currently in it, and that has a Locosound Select decoder installed by Main Model Works. And both units have their factory LEDs. Though the 7019, I'm eventually going to get Locosound put in, while the 6952 will probably get upgrades down the road. Though not presently, since it already has sound. Now on to the local or 4-axle power. And I only have 3 units. So the first one, and this is one of my first, if not my first Norfolk Southern locomotive I ever owned, is this Atlas-8 40B, or B40-8, number 4800. That unit started off as a DC unit, had a Tsunami sound installed by my local hobby shop. Though it's a unit I don't run nearly as much anymore, just due to the fact that it's an older unit and it's somewhat out of my time frame of 2010 to present. And the only units that are really going to be outside of my era are Canadian National Power, and that's because I have been mainly a CN guy all of my life, even though I like to have a lot of variety in my power. So currently I do not have any plans to continue keeping this locomotive around, so this unit might be getting put up for sale in the near future. So, and I will say something either on this channel or on Facebook if I do eventually want to put this unit up for sale. Next unit is a Walther's Proto GP60 number 7134. This unit does have Tsunami sound from the factory, and this is another one of these units I do want to get upgraded in the near future. The sound, it runs great, but the speaker isn't good, and again, it's a Tsunami decoder, so that is something I do want worked on eventually, but this is a unit I do want to keep around for the future. And then my last non road power non-heritage unit is my Scale Trains Admiral Cab SD40-2 number 3229 from the first run. This unit currently has a V4 decoder from the factory, though I am half tempted to swap it out for a V5 decoder, just because I do like how the V5 decoders run on the Scale Trains unit, and with a V5 decoder I can get a few more options out of it as opposed to what I would get with a V4 decoder. So in that unit I do want to upgrade it as well. Now on to the heritage units and specialty painted locomotives. And I'm going to start off in the back corner with this Athearn Genesis SD70 ACE Illinois Terminal Heritage Unit number 1072. That unit has tsunami sound from the factory, though again, as my other non-sound or tsunami sound equipped units, do want to get Loc sound in that and get that weathered up. So another project that will be in the works in the future. Another unit is a Intermountain ES44AC, the nickel plate unit, number 8100. That unit has Loc sound from the factory, though it does need to be upgraded with the modern PTC antenna and LED and weathering upgrades. And then my last heritage unit is a ES44AC from Intermountain, the 8103 Norfolk and Western unit. That has been modernized with the PTC antenna on top, along with weathering and speaker upgrades, along with LED and Keep Alive as well. Now on to the Veterans and First Responders unit. This one is an Athearn Genesis SD60E, the Honoring Our Veterans unit. Started off as a DCC ready unit and then got Loc sound and the weathering upgrades. Same thing with this 911 unit, also an Athearn SD60E with sound upgrades and weathering. Though this unit I did buy secondhand from Arthur, and it does have a Loc sound select decoder as opposed to the 6920, which has a V5 decoder. And last but not least is this Training First Responders unit. It's an Atlas GP38, though Norfolk Southern rebuilt it to a GP38-2, number 5642. And that unit was equipped with sound from the factory, though I had all the weathering and detail parts along with the speaker and lighting upgrades done to that unit. So that is all it for my NS, CSX, and CP fleet. And if my memory serves me right, I have 2 CP units, 3 CSX units, and 16 Norfolk Southern units. All right here. This part now includes Union Pacific, BNSF, and my short line and leasers that I have. So I'm going to start off with the short line railroad, and then the leasers, and then the UP, then the BNSF. So in front of me are a trio of Intermountain SD40-2s painted up for the Genesee and Wyoming's Rapid City P and Eastern Railroad. And Intermountain offered 3 numbers for the RCP version. I own all 3. Left to right is 3420, 3421, and then to the last one to the right is 3423. All have ESU Loc sound select decoders from the factory, and they're pretty nice looking engines, I will tell you that. Genesee and Wyoming orange and black and yellow, man, do they look good. hoping to get these upgraded in the future. Otherwise, I'm hoping that Scale Trains eventually offers these RCP units. Because if Scale Trains does offer the RCP units, these units will probably go up for sale. So, for now, I'll keep them until Scale Trains offers them. So, then my other short line railroad, and it's actually a fictional railroad, and I don't really pull it out often, but it's for the Little Wolf Central Athearn Blue Box U28B. This is a dummy unit, number 6529, and the Little Wolf Central is a fictional railroad that one of my Model Railroad Club members models, and when I first got into the hobby, he decided to donate this locomotive to me. So I still have it today, but just doesn't really see the layout much anymore. And then last but not least, for the short line and leasers, is the Scale Trains Tier 4 GEVO ET44AC in the GECX demo scheme, number 2039. This has been customized by Arthur Bradley DCC with weathering LEDs and sound upgrade. It does have a Loc-Sound V4 decoder from the factory. Onto the Union Pacific stuff, we got a SD70 ACE number 9082. Again, it's an Athearn Genesis unit. Currently is a DCC ready model. Hoping to get Loc-Sound in the near future, probably a V5 decoder. To the right is the Spirit of Union Pacific 1943, also an Athearn Genesis SD70 ACE, or as what they're classified by UP, both the 9082 and the 1943, as SD70AH. And this locomotive started off DCC ready, and then I had Arthur put in Loc-Sound V4.0 along with LEDs and a Keep Alive. I did not get this unit weathered just because Union Pacific typically keeps this unit fairly clean. Though I have seen the 1943 online out in freight service, it was restricted to passenger or special service only. And now to the BNSF units, and yes, that is a whole lot of orange. And starting off here are a pair of Athearn Genesis SD60Ms. The unit on the left is number 1463 from a more recent run of SD60Ms. And that unit is DCC ready, hoping to get Loc-Sound put in the future. While on the right is BNSF number 1474. This is the Great Pumpkin unit. Started off as number 8197 and also started off as a tsunami equipped unit, but has since been renumbered to 1474, weathered LEDs, and has a Loc-Sound Vive decoder in now with Keep Alive. Also, now we start into some more of the GEs and then the 4-axle power. So the two units on the closest track are ES44DCs from one of the more recent runs from Athearn Genesis. The unit on the left is number 7695. That is the Golden Swoosh unit. And the unit on the right is H2 number 7709. Both are DCC ready and eventually will get Loc-Sound. Off in the far corner is this Scale Trains -9 number 4434. I can't really tell the number from the way back, but it is number 4434. That just came in within the last week or two to me. And I actually just updated the sound file today on that unit. Also in the back is another Scale Trains -9, number 4593. Also, both units have Loc-Sound 5 decoders from the factory, and both units are stock. Eventually like to get them weathered one of these days, both units. Now we got 3 more Dash 9s in this picture. In the background are 2 weathered Dash 9s from Scale Trains. Number 4374 started off as number 4336. Just got it back from Arthur, renumbered, and also has weathering, new LEDs, and PTC antennas. While the unit on the right is number 4313. That unit I just acquired from Arthur, heavily weathered, and both units have Loc-Sound 5 decoders and custom sounds. While the unit in the foreground is another Scale Trains Dash 9, number 666, a Santa Fe unit. Eventually want to get this renumbered to BNSF 667, which is a unit I caught a couple of years ago out in Minneapolis. Again, Scale Trains Dash 9 with Loc-Sound 5 from the factory. Now on to the 4-axle units, and I only have 2 4-axle units for BNSF. Unit on the left is an Athearn Genesis GP50, number 3172, formerly Santa Fe, patched, DCC ready, hoping to get Loc-Sound in the future. On the right is a Athearn Genesis GP38-2, number 2376, RCL unit. That unit I just got back from Arthur with weathering, lighting, Loc-Sound 5, and power pack. And that is pretty much my new yard switcher now. Also has custom sounds, by the way. And then my last 4 BNSF units are in the back. I'm going to start off with the unit up in front. Athearn Genesis ES44AC, number 5784. This has LEDs from the factory, just like the CP unit I talked about a little earlier in the video, in the roster update. Same run, DCC ready, and again, plan to get Loc-Sound in the future. Then, now we start with the last 3 units in the background. This is a Scale Trains ET44C4 Tier 4 GEVO, number 3856 from the first run. That unit has been weathered, LED upgrades, and sound upgrades. That has a V4 decoder from the factory, Loc-Sound. And then in the back is an MTH ES44C4 GEVO, number 7033. That unit has been weathered and has Loc-Sound Select and Keep Alive. That unit is currently out of service due to a bad motor. I believe it's what it is, a bad motor. Hoping to get that corrected in the future. And then last but not least is an Athearn Genesis SD70 ACE, number 9131. From the first ever run of Athearn SD70 ACs 10 years ago. And yeah, that unit is 10 years ago, surprisingly. That unit started off DCC ready and now has a Loc-Sound Select decoder in, along with weathering and LED upgrades. So that is it for the part 2 for the for BNSF, UP, and then regional and short line railroads. So now we are on the last step of the locomotive roster update, and that is the CN equipment. Now you see there's a lot of variety in that locomotive roster for the CN. You got DMIR, WC, EJ&E, IC, BCOL, and of course CN. So for this segment, we're going to start with the non-CN equipment first, and then we'll work our way to the CN equipment. So I'm going to start off with the Illinois Central stuff. So this first one is a Athearn Genesis GP40-3, rebuilt from former Chicago Northwestern GP50. That unit is DCC ready, but it has LEDs from the factory, and eventually it'll get sound and lighting and weathering upgrades. Next unit is a Athearn Genesis SD70, Illinois Central, number 1032. This unit has been weathered along with getting LED upgrades and Loc Sound Select. And probably in the future I'll upgrade it with AC unit and yellow reflective striping. Another Athearn Genesis SD70, Illinois Central 1021. That unit is DCC ready, and we'll eventually get Loc Sound and get it modernized to the current equipment. In the back is a Atlas-840CW, the otherwise known as the Blue Devil, patched for Illinois Central sublettering, but it's a CN owned unit, number 2457. That unit just came back from Bradley DCC with the weathering and lighting and sound upgrades. Did have a Loc Sound Select in that unit from the factory, but apparently that decoder failed while the unit was down there for testing. It worked fine when I last ran it, but must have failed in between that, and now it has a V4 decoder in it. So still has custom sounds in it, so I'm not going to complain about that. The unit in the back, the repaint is Illinois Central repaint Intermountain SD40-2. That has Loc Sound Select in it. Does have some handrail damage to it, so I'm hoping to get some handrail parts to fix up the front. Fixed the rear ones a while back, but I still need to get to the front ones. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that unit just because it's slightly out of date. Otherwise I can get it renumbered to 6100 since that is the unit I have caught. And then last Illinois Central unit I have is this Athearn Genesis GP38-2 number 9611. This has Tsunami 2 from the factory. And then I had LEDs installed, and I installed a current keeper. And it has a new speaker, and since the original Athearn speaker blew within a week, which, go figure. Not sure what I'm going to do with this unit. Might get that unit renumbered, since 9611 is now in CN paint. Now I'm going to move back over here to the DMIR equipment. I originally had 3 DMIR units, but I recently sold one of my Athearn tunnel motors a while back. This one is number 409. Probably going to sell that unit down the road, but there's a few things I need to get worked out before I put that unit up for sale. Again, that's an Athearn SD45T-2, but DMIR reclassified that and rebuilt that to an SD40T-3. So, next unit is a Kato SD38-2, number 215, DMIR. That unit was a former BNLE unit in real life, and really haven't done much to this unit since I bought it. Hoping Scale Trains does the SD38-2 in the future. If so, that unit's going to probably go up for sale. And for the EJ&E units, I only have one EJ&E unit. That is this Kato SD38-2. That unit has Tsunami Sound installed. I put that in. Oh, the 215 to your right, that unit is DCC ready, by the way. And that unit has a Digitrax decoder and blue LEDs. But the EJ&E unit does have Tsunami Sound and all the factory lighting, but didn't really handle that unit with much care back in my earlier days, so probably going to be sidelined for quite some time. I have not ran that unit much in the last 4 years. So now onto the WC equipment. I'm just going to start off in the far right, far back corner. That's an Atlas GP40 number 3005. Had a Tsunami Sound installed along with and then I had new LEDs put in along with front and rear ditch lights. Unit does have a little bit of cosmetic, external problems. Handrails damaged a couple of spots, and plus when I was younger I did super glue the shell a little bit, so yeah, a little mistake on my end. But then I do have another Atlas GP40. This one's from a more recent run, the 3017. That unit has ESU Loc Sound Select from the factory, and it also has weathering and LED upgrades and sound and keep alive upgrades as well. That unit's a real nice one. And then my last WC unit's an Athearn Ready to Roll SD45. The Operation Lifesaver unit 7525. That unit I had reworked a few years back, and now it has Loc Sound Select, LEDs, front and rear flashing ditch lights, and keep alive. Now onto the GTW equipment. Only 2 units here. The one in the repaint is Athearn Ready to Roll GP40-2, number 6417. Just had a decoder and LEDs put in by Engine House, and I'm probably going to sell that unit to one of my club members in the future. So that unit's going to probably be off the roster, hopefully by the end of the year, but I'm not going to guarantee you that with this whole pandemic thing. And then another unit in the back is an Intermountain SD40-2, GTW 5936. This unit had Tsunami Sound put in by the request of my dealer, Engine House Services, instead of the Loc Sound Select that Intermountain was putting in on their other units. But has a few handrail damage to it, but otherwise it's a real nice unit. Probably not going to keep this unit much longer, especially if Scale Trains tools up the GTW versions for the SD40-2s. So this unit's probably not going to be with me much longer. And then last but not least are the BCOL equipment. I got 2 dash 8s, both from Rapido, and both have been heavily customized. The one to your right is number 4619. That unit has a V4 decoder, and the unit to your left is number 4610. That has a V5 decoder, and both units have been heavily customized to the prototype. 4619 has a P5 horn, 4610 has its K5L horn, and both have working LED class lights requested by me. And those things are super cool when running together. Now on to the CN equipment. I'm going to start off with this SD60 here. Athearn Ready to Roll, number 5414. This unit I had a while now, but I had a Tsunami Sound put in along with ditch lights front and rear. Probably going to get that switched over to Loc Sound in the future, along with getting some new MU receptacles put in, since unfortunately this unit came back with a few broken MU cables when I received this unit back from the sound installation several years back, and that still somewhat makes me mad to this date. And then my other SD60, number 5467, that unit is DCC ready. And I just recently won this off of a eBay auction. It was listed as brand new, but the front truck is messed up with the gearbox came off, and then the fuel tank was shattered in pieces. And I'm not really happy with that, so I've already filed a claim with the United States Postal Service regarding that unit, since the owner has claimed that he has never opened that unit up. So hopefully I can get those parts in and get that unit as new as possible. But now on to the Tier 4s. This first one here behind that BCOL-8 is number 3104. This is a Scale Trains unit with a 4 decoder from the factory. And this unit has been customized with LEDs and sound upgrades and weathering. And then the other Tier 4 in the background, and let me just move this tripod up a little bit, is number 3038. This is an Intermountain unit from a few years back. And that unit has a Loc Sound Select from the factory. And would like to get that weathered one of these days, but again, it's one of my back burner units right now since I have other priorities ahead of them. Now on to the SD70s, the ACE number 8101. That's an Athearn Genesis unit. Had Tsunami installed from the factory, Soundtrack Tsunami, but this past fall I took that unit into JT Burke of Skill Sound Systems and had LoCSound 5 installed along with LED upgrades, and boy does that unit sound good. And then my other two Athearn 70 type units, this one's an SD70M-2 number 8023. That unit was DCC ready. Then I had Wow Sound installed by TCS at Trainfest a few years back, and I have since swapped that out with a LoCSound Select unit, though that unit does need new LED lighting and a few other things before I'm going to continue running that unit for a long time. But I still plan to keep that unit. The other SD70M-2 I have is this another Athearn Genesis, number 8013. That unit has Tsunami sound from the factory. And again, like all my other units that haven't been upgraded, that's something that's going to hopefully happen in the future. It's just on my back burner right now. And now on to the some other units. The 9645, that's an Atlas GP40-2W. That has LoCSound Select from the factory, and I updated the sound file a while back to the correct one with the Canadian bronze bell. And then in the way back, that's a Rapido GMD1. This is pretty much a stock unit with LoCSound Select. Would love to get that weathered one of these days, but we'll just wait and see. And then another unit that has been weathered is this Intermountain SD40-2W number 5255. That unit has a LoCSound Select installed. Originally had a Soundtrack's mobile decoder in from the factory, but I recently got that with LoCSound Select a couple years back. And then another unit in the back, can't really see well, but that is another Intermountain SD40-2W, number 5247. That has Tsunami sound from the factory. Not quite sure if I'm going to keep that unit or not, since I do have 5255, but might be nice just to have keep that second unit. Now I'm going to go back to the front. This is both these units are Athearn Genesis GP40-2 LWs from one of their more recent runs. The one on your left is number 9551, and the unit on the right is number 9544. Both units are DCC ready, and my plan is to probably get that 9551 renumbered to 9531. Since I've never caught the 9551, but I have caught the 9531 by my house. And I'm just going to do the dash shades real quick up front. This is an Atlas C40-8W, number 2172. This just is a stock unit with LoCSound Select. Unfortunately, the sunshades broke off, and I tried getting replacements, and one of the replacements already broke off. So hopefully I can get this unit sent in one of these days to get worked on. Now my other dash shade was a more recent acquisition a couple years back. This one I got back a few months ago. This is a C40-8 with weathering, LEDs. It even has marker lights. I asked for marker lights to be installed like the prototype. LoCSound 5 and Keep Alive. And then I'm going to go back to the front. Got a pair of Athearn Genesis SD75Is. The unit on the right is number 5763 from the most recent run with LEDs. And the unit on the left is there's the release prior, number 5732. both units are DCC ready with the intention to get loc sound in. And then the last two units I want to cover are a pair of Athearn Genesis GP locomotives. The 4775 is a GP38-2W with tsunami sound from the factory. And then the 9601 is a GP40-2 LW, both from their first runs of those units respectively. And the 9601 has tsunami sound from the factory and LEDs installed. So other than that, that is a wrap on my locomotive roster update. So I hope you all had a good time. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and you all have a good rest of your day. Take care.